Having talked to you for a while, I'm now going to shut up and hand it over to our guest of honor.
Oh, thank you.
Let's give her a hand.
Thank you. Can you hear the mic there or here? Which is better? Here, here. Either way is same? Okay. I have a little presbyophonia. I had some surgery on my ears a couple of years ago and it messed my throat up. These things we go through as we age. Thank you all for being here. It's been a really great visit for me, and I appreciate you participating in the circuit. It's great to meet everybody here. I've had a really good evening, too, so thank you for that. I'm reading from the most recent book, which wasn't on the bio. I think we submitted the bios before it was out. So the title is Look at This Blue, and it is a book-length piece. So not individual poems. It is written, it was written very quickly. I was compelled to write it. I had a deadline with my press, and I had a book in hand that they anticipated, and I wasn't feeling the book in the way that you should. And I landed in Montenegro on Fulbright, and knew the person who would be housing me while I looked for an apartment, another scholar. And I told her, I said, I'm on deadline, so I can't visit with you this weekend. And she goes, well, how much of the book do you have done? And I said, I'm writing a new one. And she said, over the weekend? I said, yes, that's what I'm gonna do. And she goes, I'm going to Croatia for the weekend, the apartment's yours. And so for the next 48 hours, I just unfolded. I played music for a number of years, and I'm one of those people that just hears music all the time. So it was a very easy field for me, music and songwriting. And I just allowed myself to follow the jazz orchestrations that I was hearing and go with the different departures and solos and come back with a varying refrain. So the book is composed in that manner, and it is both a love letter to California and an indictment of California. If you really love something or somebody, you have to hold it accountable. And there's a lot of things in the state I live and work, and I work for the state, that are unsaid or unknown across the widespread population. And I felt needed to be addressed, and I also have a lot of love for the state and the beauty there. When I left North Carolina, I was just leaving field work, my back was out, and also leaving domestic violence, and I had a very difficult time in my early years in California, and some of that's in here as well. So I'm gonna read excerpts from throughout the book, so they are in chronological order, but it's not page by page in the book. I've just made some selections, and I'll just read it as a piece. And then if you guys have any questions after, I've written a memoir. Anybody that's written a memoir is usually open to what? Ask me anything. So feel free to ask questions. And I do wear hearing aids. I am hearing impaired, so get my attention, wave your hand around, and ask me. I might have to ask you to repeat. Okay. You guys ready? Feel free to close your eyes during the reading. It won't bother me a bit. My dad always said, if you're a good storyteller, people will fall asleep. I believe that. So if you close your eyes and you look sleepy, I'll be happy. Look at this blue. Xerxes blue butterfly from the sand dunes of San Francisco, the first known American butterfly to become extinct due to humans, first known. Redwood burls cut like blisters shaved from trunks, poach life source from root, kill giants and knobby growth removals, baseline, canopy height bud tissue, unsprouted genetic code for clone of parent tree emergence. There was a barrel at my mouth, ready cocked. It was held there by my baby brother's bare grip. A lemon wedge moon, half moon, popped over, flat consume shallow, over sweet sound, low rustle in loady water. Chortle trill, night language from standing cranes, sand hills, they've been here all along. standing still, knee-deep in station pools. Orion was hovering eastward, drawn and readied. Someone slinked past the door jamb. Each chokehold filled, vaporizes cognizance. In a world fast shaking herself loose from diabolical torrent, rising throttled song above a throttled breath choked out between calligraphies, madness clenched fury, unfurled release, misery met in each pummel break. It's not over. Sleep in despair, sleeping moth-tongued, unrolled against your central incisors, human-throated, deep yearns for saxophone, trachea windpipe, sandhills chortle, the only saving grace, wetlands marshaled. There's nothing here on guardian watch. Riverside, reaching back for slip skateboard, he was hit so hard he flew while braking. A crow above whose wings were sunning swooped at the same time, the car careened to halt. On Martin Luther King Road, near Boardwell Park, East Side, where the speed limit suddenly increases while approaching two close crosswalks, leading from homes to Stratton Community Center, Boardwell, Emerson Elementary, East Side, black, brown, kids, elders, anyone can see. Someone once worked this out. It's all going to burn, said the man accused of setting holy fire, arson. First the puma in Santa Paula Palm Branch, then coyotes, fox, rabbits appeared, birds overcome sky, plume, then the entire yard a carpet of undulating fleas, so thick wrapping bread bags over our feet and ankles barely made it passable. Everything was escaping heat and firestormed arson, 120,000 acres, blanket fire, Los Padres National Forest, and more, choking like the child they found, still hung there. Sleep in the dream of bettering world. Sleep in the dream of nightmare woken. What we carry howls, boggling. Her cheek contorts in flame, unfanned, yet fanning. She eclipses all asunder, all broken, a Scarface vision in temporal melt. Somewhere on my left face, you can still see where it was sewn back on. On the right, the line across the eyelid, where it was sewn back. On the abdomen, the line, where it was sewn back, sewn back, sewn back. Somewhere on my right hand, where it was sewn, all the here's and there's were sewn. All the biopsies, removals, explorations, and assaults sewn. What we carry weeps wet-haired. Her cheek contorts when sprayed by guard, and from the first time she attempted, her neck ached. Meanwhile here, a third body is found in Baldwin Hills fire. More are missing. Arson again. Someone is out there. Look at this blue, Palo Verdes blue from the Palo Verdes Peninsula, one of the best claims to being the world's rarest butterfly. Newly returned, lays eggs on deerweed. Notice the patterning on the underside of her wing. Remember along the way the murdered sow bear. Her cubs are taken for claws. We're all just symptoms of something massive, faster over. They're killing us, weaponizing nature, sanctifying arms, consecrating each trigger-flexed hand. Remember Dad, in his 80s, he was up on the trailer roof, a sprayer in hand fighting back the ignition, not leaving till everyone leaves. Or the time that he battled out of being rolled, he just smoothly turned his cane horizontal, asking punks who should join him when he dies soon enough, until they all scrambled away across the Kmart parking lot. Trigger turned to my face, every right to bear bitter, every night scheme, daybreak flash. There was no need to fictionalize this dude. He is what he is, what man made, what man. Missing children, women taken somewhere. For me, it was a gully, a pond, a base, a van, a hall, a window, broken branch and canopy, trees like fingers, like stiff blade through my right hand, the bone separating knuckles, like gales tore muscle, bearing my keen weight. He was too idiotic to merit note past his criminal code when pressing limits, cruelties, as a method of stopping poems so they could not escape, no matter the musescape. Santa Ana's, floods, frost on Orange Grove. All that counted elsewise was any snowfall on Topa Topa. Something was lost on a death wish facade that called itself man. Ghost knocks pounded behind my head on the wall when he tried to stay there. Behind us was Limonadea, a town of a camp, now a suburbia development, but then all sorts of workers, growers, Rancho Sespi, Floricantos, La Lucha we would go, Santa Paula, Fillmore, Piru, Oxnard Strawberries, Saticoy Records, Ventura Gold Beaches, Hot Peppers Shouldering Blood Alley, Ventura Freeway, Oleanders, Eucalyptus, Rhododendron. I came from the camps too, not these, but I served these children. Decades ago, when Olive Land's 7-year-old girl wrote, "My eyes are the green of August." I still see her eyes, her August now. Condors replenish. Phoenix, half-grown chick, survives big surfire, matures. Father's egg with redwood queen, whose initial mate was lost to the Dolan fire. All phoenix rise, blue-green until milky way split wide open in some hollowed redwood on cave floor dust or cliff edge. Once my hand gleaned a plume from cliff edge. Something called to me to reach in and feel what left it gone. Fingers raked, pulled from pit, what remnant left there. Let love lead. Let hand that pummels rest, let scowl rest. Let face relieve, let shoulders locked high, tight recede. Let feet cracked, worn ease. Let back stiff sore, bend open. Let lungs swell breath like ocean. Let all of us be unbroken. Take heart, earth hears every tremble touch, feels each footprint, listens now. Bring her justice, protection, peace. Look at this blue, mutant blue-eyed coyotes, chance mutation, baby blues, and 9 coyotes suggest proliferation, silvery brown back with icy blue eyes, antenna ears turning satellite-like, hearing voles, Santa Cruz, Sacramento, Point Reyes. Their apex predators were mostly wolves, mountain lions, or killed by humans. Here they are thriving, hunting, blue-eyed, chance mutation, tenderloin mornings. Someone took a shot at me before 9 a.m. It's been 2 days since neighbors shot over me, lying over you, protecting you, since Traveler's Aid allowed me to come here to take cover, and at least your father can't kill me now. This passing car mad at the world takes pot shots, has poor aim, or doesn't mean to score. I'm just trying to get some juice, keep hydrated. My sister, she's still awake from her night shift, watching you for the first time, for 10 minutes, while I cross-hide, then Turk, grab a box of juice, piece of bread, head back unscathed. Pass by the old man someone brought here from reservation and left on the street. No one knows his language. My sister says he'll accept a sandwich, juice, so I go back and grab him one too. Today it's orange. Here's a heel. Someone from St. Vincent's brings him a cane. He looks maybe blind or cataracted. I wish his name was known. Wish he knew his home to get in with his people. Morning seems so high above. The buildings block out any rise, and the whole thing just seems to spin cardinal points opposite, so north is south, peninsula living, Yalamu, Ramaitash, Aloni, my sister learns at State. She works late shift, printing newspapers, working for a bachelor's in Native Studies. Takes her about 11 years to complete. Me, I'm scrambling just to hydrate, acclimate. In the same year, Tom Petty wailed, "You don't have to live like a refugee." Score before care, not cash. San Francisco labeled me indigent. Didn't offer me a home, just rent to my sister. In a few weeks, you will have red measles and not move for days. Dehydrate. Will nearly leave me. For me standing in line at St. Vincent's with you wrapped tightly in a sling alongside me for food, medicine, essentials we don't keep. The stream of morning over your face when you recover. This was all before I could express myself, chin still positioned ready or chin down and ghosting into horizons that you can't see here. My sister came in the 70s, our mom and dad from their honeymoon after blind date meeting in the late 40s, San Diego, last century, but you can still feel them here. Still, each time it's real, we call them, note space, yes, we were there. Before any time passes, we realize other families don't have these homing knowns. My sister, she's embarrassed of me. 2 backwoods, 2 field laborer, 2 sharecropping, 2 fisher, 2 farmer, 2 backwoods. Mocks my handiwork, asks if I plan to sell trinkets on the side of the road. Maybe leather work, I claim. and show her some of mine. She walks a block ahead of me, mocking me to her city friends, like we walked 2 aisles over from our mom, deep in delusion, cursing through the aisles in Piggly Wiggly, but never mocking her, not once. Where does mocking come from? Raven cry from my heart. Here, streets are lined with fresh refugees, straggler homeless, cardboard boxmen, prostitutes, pimps, beautiful neighborhood people who teach me you can get a great meal for $2 on this block, how to eat with chopsticks, which store gives you free bread if you don't have dough. Lots of skins pass through, not alone. How many times was I given up, left for dead, rejected, objectified, ejected, and doesn't matter still, when jump started, or just awoken when unexpected to, always returning to the beauty of this world. Abject misery layered, still splendor despite beautiful, horrendous juxtapositioning throughout time. Look at this blue, Mission blue butterfly from coastal chaparral grasslands. Mission District, San Francisco, Twin Peaks, Marin County, most were upon San Bruno Mountain. Small, delicate, gossamer winged male, iridescent blue lavender, female dark brown, blue base, fringed and long, white, hair-like scales. The undersides are spotted, wingspread 1 to 1.5 inches wide. Caterpillars solely ingest native California lupine, eat silver summer varicolor lupine. Adults drink flower nectar, buckwheat, golden asters, wild hyacinths, endangered first by development. Public infrastructure development projects remain significant threat. Mercy, mercy. Oh, mercy, perforating his heart, lung, and liver. Los Angeles County coroner said he was shot twice. Oh, mercy, mercy. Look at this blue whale alongside Monterey, San Diego, Baja. Gentle giant, heaviest animal to ever live on Earth. Twice Argentosaurus. Ship strikes kill 11 per year. U.S. West Coast with ship increase population will be depleted. Noise, military testing, sonic battery, chemicals, plastics, krill, anchovy, tiny fish, tiny crustaceans absorb microplastics. A blue whale eats between 2 and 4 tons of krill per day. Blue with a belly full of plastics. In the bus, on the way to retraining for field workers, we left Santa Paula for Ventura Daily, rhododendron, eucalyptus, limonadea orange groves, peppers, flowers for Burpee Seed Company, red-winged hawks every mile of eucalyptus, 126 Ventura Freeway, on watch, like us, for movement, X. Santa Paula, North Star, Guanajuato, Mupua, Shumash. We escaped here, refugees. Closed eyes, let finger conjure, map conjure home. This is where. From here, everything changes. Rewrite, reset, reverb. Offer projects for Santa Ynez kids at get-go. Offer self. Send for my folks to follow. Dad notes, know this. If there is snow on Topa Topa, everything's okay. Mom doesn't leave the pickup until the 4th day. Vallejo apartment, their last place, West Coast, way prior to my lifetime. Restful now, restart, gratitude. So lucky to have a dad. Santa Paula, bank on Harvard, was it? Dad, deaf, spoke out loud. Where did everyone go? While the tellers docked cover, while Robert displayed his weapon to me and gestured at my toddler, suggest I gather. I motioned toward Dad, gesturing his deafness, offered to gather him as well. Mercy with peace from the bank robber, who now escapes on a bicycle, about the time the tellers remember him from high school. Here, in the shadows, leaves keep life close. Fruit, the taste of it, dusk following plant rows around the crates. Comfort here, home, nothing like a bed under stars when we need. Gleam now, in rain-slickening aurora willow branch, as blue elderberries summon wind, Santa Ana's tangle reason, still leaves night embanged by owl wing. Here, hammocked over, oasis watering life, rocks form mouse, pre-dawn, calling. Deep in night, corded sky ropes tug through visceral root. Harness our reckoning, throttle to timbra, thrum, strum, pluck gut sleeve, kindle, fiddle, full belly, flourish poppies as quarter notes. Spiral double helix, high above California fan palm, until stars are born. Your palms know where to go. What they imagine leads you. Everything we muster moves us along like water mirrors itself and remembers how to flow, where to go there. In the dream you follow, in the dream we fly over all of this direness. We float vaquitas, move like smallest porpoises, undulate in air like swimming, arms tight against our side. California spread below us, manzanitas gleaming in the sun. Stars ahead in darkness await our time there. For now, it is the offering we make. Look at this blue. Hidden Lake blue curls from Hidden Lake, San Jacinto's, Riverside County, on the shores of a single vernal pool, ephemeral, trembling by hikers, sightseekers, endangers each flower a hairy calyx with pointed sepals, tubular corona. 50 flowers might fit on a penny. A member of the mint family, delisted now. Seeds are stored in the seed bank, still vulnerable. Will you take me as I am, California? Thank you. I'll stop there. Thank you. Thank you. Do you guys have any questions? Yes?
But a poem is a whole book, or a whole book is
The whole book is a poem.
Is this a trend? Is there a lot? I mean,
I've done other
there
books.
are tales or something, but is this your distinctive?
I started out writing long form when I started writing poetry. So, yeah, I've done other book length works, and I teach long form, and I teach the epic. Yeah.
How do people, or how should people read a whole book poem, a long form poem? Because when you think of poetry otherwise, you really go from start to finish.
Yeah, like that. Start to finish. Yeah, just stay with it. Yeah, just stay with it. Yeah. Yeah. I have an older son. When he was a little boy, he's 42, going on 43 now, my oldest. And when he was a little boy, about 7, he would walk around with Allison, Dumas, and Joyce under his arm. And he was dedicated to these books. And I was in grad school and such, and he would sit down with any scholar and talk to them about his reading of the books. And my favorite episode of watching him talk it was to Allen Ginsberg and Anselm Hollow and a couple other guys, Bob Creeley I think was there, and explaining to them that to read Joyce's Finnegan's Wake, that you had to just go to it like you go to a wake, and he had been to some wakes. Go to it like you go to a wake. You show up when you show up, you view what's in that, and when you leave, and that's the reading. And so when I was in Ireland once, a friend of mine who's a Joyce scholar, who knew the Joyce scholar, who's not an academic, that all the academics go to, I said, here's Travis's version, and he said, he's not wrong. Yeah, so any way you want to read it, yeah, would be my short answer. Any way you want to read it, yeah, but you could go through and read the book as an orchestration. It's written that way. I wrote it all at once. So, yeah. Other questions?
As I was listening to you read, it reminded me a lot of reading stuff by A.R. Ammons. He has a book-length poem called Garbage that it's like broken up just into numbered sections. The thing that struck me about listening to you read was, like in Ammons, there's a lot piled up in there, all these places and people and events, but the poem keeps tugging you along as you're going through it. It's like it's piling up, but it's also pummeling along. How do you get a poem to do this?
Yeah, I teach a class called Musicality for the Long Form, and I really believe that sustaining work like that, so that there is the pull and you can include so much, has to do with having a certain cadence within yourself that may shift and change. Like if we were sitting down and having a jazz session and we all knew each other, and there's no audience, we're not on stage, we're just hanging out and seeing what'll happen. It's like that. So it's like a session where there's no barriers. And so I really believe whatever cadences you follow allows the audience to follow with you. But there's also a certain underlay of the work that's really consistent, almost a backbeat to a lot of it, that ends up being the language. Yes, I do teach musicality in the long form. It's the most successful long form course I think I have, with students getting good work out of it. Yeah. But Ammons, I mean, I confronted the Black Mountain poets, several of them while they were still alive. And, you know, because my family's from North Carolina. A lot of my family's from Western North Carolina and or the Piedmont. And I worked all over the state, including off coast when I did commercial fishing down to Jamaica and back was our haul from the Outer Banks. And I confronted a few of them while they were alive, including Bob Creeley, and said, you know, you guys are all using cadence from here, you know, and you guys are not from here. Well, some of them were. Some of them had some roots there. And I go, but you don't talk about that. You don't talk about the older language here and how much of the cadence that's from native populations is used in this work, and how that musicality has older roots here. And I remember Creeley said, well, I talk a lot about my work going to South America and working with Mayan people and learning that. And I go, yeah, but you're here doing it. He just kind of smiled and good point, you know, good point. But a lot of poets who were sort of in and out of Black Mountain School, including Ammons, you know, were using something that was very local there. So it's a natural thing for, I think, local people. But it got picked up by some poets who really, you know, did great work, beautiful work, you know, and it just became a part of what they did. The only difference really between Black Mountain School and the beats that came after, and some of them were the same, and Mary Baraka was the in-between person who was in Black Mountain and then beats, early beats, but he got written out because he wasn't at the reading where they became famous. But the only difference was that the beats said there had to be politics in everything. And Black Mountain School, if there was politics there, okay, but the beats added politics to everything, and that was their thing to do. But they were still using the trail of musicality that the Black Mountain poets had started to embrace. And early on with those schools, and even with the academic poets, it leans back to they were trying to distance themselves from European poetry and European form and create new prosody that would represent American poetry. And so it's that departure from that. So picking up the local was inherent to that. Yeah. Is that helpful or am I?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Can I follow?
Yeah, yeah.
So there's the refrain that I kept hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this blue. What are the other backbeats?
Yeah, there's several, well, the language is kind of almost a backbeat for me, which is the interesting part. But when I'm hearing percussions, that's everything, you know. So I may go into something that's a wider scene and could be provoked with any particular part of the kit, you know. If I'm hearing a sax solo, you know, that might be an independent voice. And so depending on what instrument I'm hearing in my own head, I follow that, and that particular voice is speaking at that time, and or something's being referred to. Yeah, there's some long sections in the book that deal with animals and plants that have been exterminated or that are under watch right now for extermination. Of course, we've got a lot of fires right now, so there's a lot of fires, earthquakes, these things come up. And for me, it's different instrumentation that I'm hearing when I go into that. And then I follow it as long as it goes. And when I hear something else, I move into a different scene. So it's really just a jazz session, that book. I have another book, Streaming, that's very much classically composed. So it opens with a prelude, and it has 2 movements, and then it has a bridge, and then it has 2 more movements, and then there's a coda. And so it's orchestrated very classic. Yeah, and it comes with the CD, that one. Yeah, so I work with some really great musicians, so yeah. Yeah, so but they're not all book-length pieces. It depends on what the project is. When I got to Montenegro, I had a lot on my mind, and 42 years in and out of California at this point in my life. And when I got there, you know, I was in my late 20s. And so I have a lot of knowledge about the state and have a lot of feelings about it. But a lot of my works are North Carolina-centric from older times in my life. Blood Run is a book that's a verse play. It starts with the narrative piece, it ends with one, and in between it's all persona, and there's choruses and such. There's skeletons that are a chorus, there's ghosts that are a chorus, there's different choruses that appear. And that was my book that I wrote during testimony. I was living in South Dakota and recognized a mound city there, like you see in the southeast. And I recognized them because we grew up going to them. And so I confronted the state about it not being in the curriculum. And I found some very old records from 1738, way before Lewis and Clark, of French cartographers who came out, early 1700s, met people, did censuses, recorded languages, drew the maps that Lewis and Clark used, which we don't learn about in school. And I found those old records, and I found maps drawn by different mound builders from the area when they were lobbying to DC, saying, well, you can't build there, there's our cities, and freehand drawing the map that you can lay on top of a map, and it's perfect to this day. And I used that to lobby the state of South Dakota in court to get it protected, to get it preserved, and to get it in the curriculum of the schools, because it was intentionally destroyed so that propaganda could go to parts of Europe that were in dire situations to encourage them to come out and have 10,000 acres and be told that people were nomadic was it's just not real. And so this one city that I was focusing on had 10,000 people in it in 1738, speaking 8 languages, and other people visited. So it was a cosmopolitan, and anywhere in the world, 10,000 people in 1738 was a sizable city. So I worked and I won. The state park is called Good Earth. It was the first state park in South Dakota in 50 years. And they raised $10 million to buy the property from settler families that were still opening up graves and sort of robbing the graves there and such. And so it is now a state park. The best part about it, other than it being protected and preserved and the builder nations having some way to come back and interpret who were pushed out of that area, it's not the local native people, it's people that were pushed out during colonization, is my grandkids got primary roles in the film. So when you end up at the park and you go into the interpretive building, it's my grandkids playing 1600s native kids, and they're from that area on their mom's side. So it was apropos. But I was teaching in high schools there, I was teaching in college, and I couldn't live next to something that phenomenal and not address it. You know, how could you live next to that history and not have it in your classroom? I just couldn't do it. Yeah, so that book's very different. They're all very different. It's all project, for me it's project. I get something in my head, I'm gonna do it. And this book I just unfolded. It was as if I had friends of mine who are great musicians around me, and I was just listening and then just following it. Yeah, so I unfolded for a couple of days and it was done. I did include an index. There's a heavy index in it, and there's a resource list for anybody who wants to get their sleeves rolled up and go to work. Yeah. Yeah, so I know it's a lot, so, but it was just all in my head, so, yeah. Any other questions, or?
We do have books.
We do have books. They are for sale, and the sales go back to, how do you say it? AVAC? AVAC. Yes, ma'am.
Will there be more of that? I think it was called Poetry in Motion.
Yes, a friend.
Title, that long, beautiful hair floating around, red jewels.
Oh.
Tell us something about that.
Well, Elise Passion, who's actually, she's Osage. Her grandmother was Maria Tallchief, the prima ballerina. And Elise was the head of Poetry Society of America for a number of years. And she started Poetry in Motion and started the placards on the bus and everything. So that was Elise Passion Project, if you want to look her up as a poet. And there is still some that happens time to time. If you want it where you are, get some people together, write in and find a way to get it together and put it in place, or bring in people to do it. But yes, it's still happening in places. And yeah, if you want it local, you got to call for it. Yeah, or get somebody to, convince somebody to. But yeah, Elise Passion, Passion, E-N, I think. Is that right? Can you, yeah? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Maria Talchi's granddaughter. Maria Talchi was one of the 5 American Indian ballerinas. So a Russian ballet troupe came through Oklahoma long, long ago and invited kids to come learn some ballet. And they said, wow, these kids got natural talent. And 5 of them became prima ballerinas around the world. And 3 of them were related. And Maria Talchi was one of them, my dad's favorite. Now she's on $1. Yeah, she's on money. And Lisa's still writing poetry. Yeah, her daughter. She's a brilliant poet, really good person. Yeah. Any other questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.